Hi, folks. Nick Tockert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. How is everybody doing? I want to remind you the Historical Fencing Guild is brought to you by the Simple Sword and the Fighting Axe, both available through Amazon at www.amazon.com/author/Nicholas Tockert. I also want to remind you, lovely folks, that anyone who wants to help out and the amazing people who help me keep the lights on can all be found and you can get in on it by joining my Patreon, where as time goes, there'll be exclusive content. However, every time I try to make it exclusive, those wonderful people contact me and like, no, Nick, just put it right out there. Make sure everybody has a shot at seeing it. And that's what we're all about. We're already joined in the comment section by the beautiful, indescribable Cindy Kep. I'm sorry if I'm starting off a little rumbly. We've got a lot going on, and I have a lot to tell you, kind folks, about to get this day going. But let's talk about what we're going to go over tonight. If everybody's groovy with that, we're going to be, and I'm just going to do this for now. It makes my life a little easier. Sorry, a little behind the scenes. Still getting used to the glory that is StreamYard. Johnny Cage. Buddy, I am so glad to be seeing you. For those who are in the know, we have count them, two episodes left in Dice Dudes and Dames, or Dice Dames and Dudes, uh, their take on Ravencleft Gorge. Beyond that, in the holidays, I don't know what's next. So you expect to see Johnny Cage once again coming in his Frog G powered Iron Frog armor, wrecking havoc. There are plans in the works. Cindy Kep says if she did a backflip, she'd land on her goofy head. If you're watching this and you aren't used to this, please, folks, turn on the live chat. I try to leave part of the screen empty so that there's plenty of room for the live chat to show up on your screens. If I need to skedaddle to the other side, let me know and I'll leave a note for myself. But yeah, I clap a lot, folks. It's one of those things. It's part of being the active, insane swordmaster that I am, or was. We'll see. Uh, but boy, is today a rough day for some of my gesturing. And we'll get into that a little later as people come rattling in through the doors. But we have a lot to discuss. So let's go over what I'm planning to discuss. Feel free to interrupt, interject, talk talk whatever's on you guys' mind, because I'm all about it. And if you have questions, I will be glad to help. And if I don't know, I will tell you. I don't know. Um, Johnny, I'm so sorry that you're having some problems. It seems to be going around. I don't know if there's anything I can do to help or entertain, but be sure to keep me advised, okay? Because we're all about making folks feel better despite the setbacks we have, and that's actually going to be part of a major theme of this episode. Because, like you, I've been dealt some pretty hefty blows that are going to affect a lot of what I am and not what I am, but maybe how I identify myself and what I can do. The problem is the raw, unbridled power of your host, Nick Tockert, is so intimidating the universe occasionally goes out of its way to nerf me. Maybe it's the mods, maybe it's situational, maybe when I created this character in life, I accidentally hit hard on the playthrough, or at least medium. But we shall triumph. Oh, hey, Johnny, I'm glad. And evening thesis, I'm so glad to have some of my favorite people here. At this point, I realize my watcher icon just isn't accurate, but please be sure to hit like and please be sure to share this if you're enjoying so others can enjoy it. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. Last week, you got to watch me suffer through some of the most brutal fantasy weapons that I've had to endure and understand that the aesthetics of Kit Ray just wound my practical swordsman's heart. It skewers me, you know, like a bullet at range, shot through the heart. Yes, and that wounds, and I don't. Hello, high flying feline. I'm glad. Glad the gang is just coming together. But what we're gonna do to offset last week's absolute misery, because I'm pretty sure I was bleeding out my eyes, I'm going to go to one of my favorite retailers, a company called Zen Warrior Armory, whom I have in the past bought several fighting blades from, and I bought many actual blades when I was making my own riggings. Now, at least for the short term, my craftiness is into it. Oh, that's what cilantro. Uh, and Syndicate brings us some wisdom with try to use a kit way. Yeah. I have words and they can come out of my mouth. Kit. Well, glad the lid was on that. No, try to use a Kit Ray weapon and you will wound yourself. Kit Ray looks really nifty on the wall, but not much more than that. And I'll get rid of that because Cindy Kep's words are great, but she's covering my lovely goatee. No, I'm about a day from getting my ears lowered, e.g., a decent haircut. And as I'm rocking a complete Grandpa Monster look, nobody wants to see that. So we're hopping and popping. I do want to address a little bit, very narrowly, a question that was posed a while ago because I've been Wallhanger Supreme. That I was asked about Spanish versus Bagua. And as you know, Sword Sage fights Bagua. I've fought against it quite a bit. I have dabbled a bit in it. And it's interesting because they both use circles and they're both from a circular mindset. But the orientation of the circles are the biggest divider. The movement in Bagua is circular. The footwork creates a circular flow. The guards are long and they're sweeping out. Um, if you follow the Historical Fencing Guild's public group, our good friend Bladed Thesis put a very short, nice little clip of him doing a blade flourish. I believe it's called flowering the blade through the system he's using. But it's a very traditional blade flourish that can be applied quite tactically if you understand the timing of the catch and sweep away. This is all good. I'm having medical armoring issues, and that will actually all feed back into what I'm going to talk about later. Circle walking. Now, and that is a type of range game. It throws your momentum in different directions. It makes you harder to target both from a how far range game and an accuracy. So it's part of a very fluid system. Whereas the footwork in Destreza Spanish is actually very linear to the point of being angular. What makes it so the circles in Spanish are the timing of your cavaciones, which is your disengage. Uh, so let me see. If the blade is here and it comes around here to get somebody, let me see. I don't know if I have the tools to arm you well this week. All my armament is just out of. Oh wait, no, I can make this work. Alrighty. One, I found my guarded uh parry dagger, and two, I have a decapitated Tai Chi sword. So, you guys got kill on me because I wasn't looking. Alrighty. If I'm on the outside, you obviously have the advantage. In Spanish, the cavazione is the disengage. So let me do it over here so you can see it. Disengage and in. Right? So if I have you blocked, give me just a second. I'm having some dexterity issues I will be talking about. So, parry out, cavazione, and poke, right? A disengage. That is circular. The circles come from a sign. When you hear, especially the Spanish magic circle, it comes from using whoa, using the line of attack of your opponent between you and your opponent to make a diameter and making sure your attacks all come from tangential footwork. So your foot is making a tangential line between their end, making it shorter. So you don't usually even have to thrust. The body work brings it in. I want to talk about this thesis. This says it was extremely nerve-wracking to post even that short video. I want you guys to never, ever feel bad about posting and showing your stuff. I'm not going to lie to you and say everybody will treat you right. This is the internet. Some people suck. But one, they don't deserve that power. And two, I guarantee you will be doing more good for you and the people who watch it. Uh, sorry, got some pain going on today. And the people who watch it will learn from it. That's what the guild is about being a safe place for martial artists to mix their styles and keep and present and learn. And if you go through this channel, you will see a lot of live sparring. You'll see a lot of things that have errors and goofiness, and it's just cringy. It's part of the adventure. Don't ever hesitate to share your adventure and learn from the adventures being shared with you. The other thing, and I'm going to get into it a little bit later, yeah, probably pretty soon. Don't hesitate to chase your dreams. Even if you're healthy now, physicality is not forever. Um, and while saying that, I want to remind you, Thesis shared this. Cindy Kepler responded that it was fabulous. And Thesis thanked her because that's civility and that's how it's supposed to be. Now, um, I did say when I started this video in the commentary, I would be talking about swords, some armor comments, and some setbacks. And I don't know who else is going to be coming in, but we're going to talk about it. Today's been a setback. Today's was an expected setback, but a scary one for me. You know, people who are paying attention notice these are new braces with new pads, and they have that lovely medicinal armoring improvised. I went to occupational therapy today, and I've been due to, and just like physical therapy, it's part of the order. And I got fitted for new braces. I also was given a list of things I am to avoid. These include anything that strains my hand, vibration, so power tools, uh, bending at the wrist, fine work. That would be drawing, uh, things like that, and typing, video games, a few other base things that basically the vast majority of the things I do in my life and have done for a very long time are not good for carpal tunnel and a few other things, which means I'm on the no fight list, and I am on the no fight list pretty close to indefinite. We'll have to see. I have a whole lot of physical therapy to do through them, and after I've gone through them, I get to go through the uh, other bodily physical therapy, and we just get to see. But yeah, it was pretty intense. Also, to the people who watch Dice Dudes and Dames, Dice Dames and Dudes. 2 more weeks, and then it's the end of the season, end of that campaign, and I don't think I'm running anything after that. That will be discussed with them, and we'll have to see. So that's a post holiday. We'll see how that works. But I've always warned folks I'm on borrowed time, and given what I've endured physically, that time might be realistically running out. Um, I am currently still an artist, an author, a gamer, and a guy who tinkerer. I craft things. However, literally everything I do by standard adjustments has been medically verboten if I want my nerves to rest and heal. So, uh, we'll see. Now, this is not the bottom. I'm not in the bottom of some hole. That would have been last December when I lost the ability to do a lot of things. Walk, feed myself with normal utensils. My utensils maybe get colorful again. Uh, but that all being said, and it is kind of dark, and it does, like I said, it affects me here. It affects my chosen occupation as an artist and author and game designer. I am already making adaptation. I am already working on these things. But it's important, I think, when you have a setback, there's a notion that you stiff upper lip, very British. It's fine, and we soldier on. Um, Part of adapting, I think, to physical change and limitation is adapting to the emotional aspect of it. Because as things are right now, the bout I had with Trelena Bachman, this practice I had in, I believe, August, may be the last time I sword fight. And I don't think there's anyone else I would have wanted to have a last bout with. We go way back, and if that's how it is to be, I'm going to work through it. But I'm playing this all out for you guys, so I'm not, I'm not faking, and my mind still knows my eye is still good, and I may still be able to instruct. I just have to walk the path of the teacher who knows but can't do, and that's been not allowed to do that in front of me. I'm not supposed to. They gave me elbow pads. They improvised elbow pads. I find it delightful because I'm not supposed to have my elbows touch or have my arms bent tight. You know, I'm supposed to keep my arms straighter than I usually do, which is really funny because anybody who knows me knows I keep very tight defensive body posture. So this is kind of awkward. But let that's about enough of me. I'm not one to complain and whine. Um, and winter's coming. I will be doing physical therapy till they tell me not to, and hopefully I will regain. It was interesting. I find out that my grip strength is about a third the minimum of a man my age. So that was kind of comforting to actually have the numbers and go, no, I'm not making stuff up. I don't. A lot of times, it's really easy to feel like, maybe am I gaslighting myself? So seeing the numbers and talking to the lady while she helped me craft this, and she was absolutely wonderful. I'm not gonna lie, this is a thermoplastic, and she molded it in a hot bath device where there was just heated water, and pulled it out, and it looked warm but not excessive, and then with just this little socky thing was able to mold it to me. I had to keep my arms supercated for quite some time, which was blindingly painful and is still hurting. But I would love some of this because would be great instant armor making stuff. I'm not allowed to modify it. I'm under strict orders, no mods. It's almost like they figured me out. I wonder if my wife hasn't left notes. No, that no boomer humor. I love my wife. But let's get back into some things. A thesis said something important before I prattled, and first section of short form is pretty short, but I need to find somewhere with more room before I can film it. That is one of the great challenges of winter. There are ways to get around it. Uh, you have to be creative on what space you use sometimes, and what they'll never know. The point. No, no. Well, let's just say when I get enough hand strength back to be able to do some simple leatherworking, I have some plans, feline. I have some plans for making some nifty mods, and it means I'm going to be even less pocket friendly because I can barely touch the third finger. I can't get it to the pinky. As somebody who used to pick locks and be very hand delicate, not criminally. Geez, don't look at me like that. As a puzzle, I wanted to join the what is it? Organization of Ethical Lockpickers or whatever. Tool. Good guys. But yeah, we'll see. But I'm not going to lie to you and be like, I could do all this. That's BS. And we got to get past that toxic need to appear strong. I've lived Sun Tzu so long that I find myself having trouble just being able to, even among friends, among family, show weakness. That's part of how I was brought up, and it's part of how I've survived. And I think coming, especially through 2020, 2021, uh, a lot of us have been surviving and we forget to live. And it's a trap we can all fall in. Now, so yes, let's see. Let's see, what's this? I have De Corvain's, and other joint shenanigans, Ehlers Daniels. There's some discussion that I may have that as well. It hasn't, but I've done major mods with common functions, different phenomenon. Then maybe the detail will help. Maybe. And like I said, what it is right now I have to, because they flat out said they won't do any strengthening. No strengthen exercises until my nerves are settled. Because the strengthening process can inflame. So yeah, it's going to be maddening. Seeking control is always harder than seeking strength. And yeah, we may and it's I have my homework now. I won't be doing it today because I'm in blinding agony from being supercated for a long time, but we're going to build on it. And when I say we, it's because I'm sharing this journey with you guys. I think it's only fair that you guys, because I come before you and I tell you I know about swords and I tell you I know about things, that if something else is going on, you deserve to know that. And if that affects how you think of my knowledge because my body isn't participating as well anymore, that's your choice. But if I can still provide information and education, then I'm obligated because I still have that. It just means a lot of life shifts, and we'll see from there. So I said I'd talk about that, and I have. Um, why is that buzzing? I got to check in case somebody's messaging my uh, back channels because there are a few people who are not either capable or comfortable commenting on. Uh, oh, okay, that's the Red Valkyrie channel. That's what that's about. Okay, cool. Love those guys. Love the folks at Red Valkyrie. Wonderful gaming there has been an absolute blast, and in 2 weeks I will be in absolute dice withdrawal. But we'll figure something out. Um, back to positive. If you follow the historical fencing guild's public Facebook group, which if you don't, why not? I mean, if this is interesting content, talk to these people, engage, interact, learn, and educate for criminy sake. But sorry, the pain factor is weighing a little heavily on me. What I found was a lovely video showing how someone laces uh, a knight into armor. Okay, so mm, mm, sorry, pain. The swelling's getting pushed around, so it's doing strange things. Um, and what it was showing that people forget is the importance of the gambeson. And the padded armor. You'll see a lot of reenactors try to avoid it because it's hot. You'll see a lot of almost all the vast majority of the time you see armor depicted on television or movies, they're not wearing anything padded under it. Now there's the question of, well, why? It's just fabric. And again, I think the heat issue is something that gets brought up. However, in period, in the Middle Ages, you have to remember that especially Europe was operating under a mini ice age. So it was colder longer than a lot of people think. Uh, what, however, go, pardon me. When you're hanging, people see articulated armor and they think it attaches much like this brace. You see a piece. This, were I not, oh, see, Cindy Kep says that was interesting. I assume she's replying to the video. This is very much like a archer's van brace that would protect the forearm from getting a string slap. I've used similar when I used to shoot archery, so it makes sense. But anybody who's worn anything like that knows it can slide around. Now, when you look at that, the van braces are connected around here, but they're hinged to a elbow, which is then tied. And there's a piece of sturdy leather, which you don't see, with usually leather rope, leather strands, or modern people, modern reenactors might use something like paracord that's not going to fray, and you tie it. And then that tie is covered by the shoulder pauldrons. And the tie that holds the shoulder pauldrons up, which that kind of cup and then that articulation you see, is covered by the chainmail aventail or coif around the armor that keeps both a blade from coming up and hitting your neck here, but going down through the levels, going down through the layers, understanding the need for those tie down points is really, really important, both from a understanding armor. So, like my lovely brown gambeson, assuming I can get back to functionality, I'll be adding tie down points to, or more aptly, conning slash begging my lovely wife to add tie down points to, so that I can better secure what will probably be HDPE sheet shaped armor, unless I can get some of this stuff. I don't know. Oh, woo ga. But and I hope you guys like. I went with hot rod red on the straps. There were several colors, and I almost went black and white, but I thought that was a little severe. So let's go hot rod red and have a little fun with it. I think Tony Stark got a hold of me for a second, but I don't think one of you minds. That being said, um, so looking into that now, why does that matter to us? Well, as reenactors, as people who make our own armor, understanding that functionality is a big jump. So you could even use a nice jean jacket and simply reinforce an area because you don't want rip through. So a piece of leather, maybe a piece taken from a leather belt you bought at Goodwill and cut into narrow chunks, and then paracord through it would allow you to tie and affix your hard armor over it. Now, if you're wearing chainmail, it simply the string goes right up through the rings. So it goes from the fabric through the rings of the chainmail and then ties to an attachment to hold the plate on. Remember, very, very rarely, and only in late period, did you see the full plate armor. When you think plate armor, and you think of the full clanking. Oh no, you're fine. You're fine, Jody. We're joined by Jody Maffei from the desk of a small press publisher, a king of the Amazon Wrestling Federation and a few other great products. So you want to follow him. He's good people. As a Cindy Cap, I don't talk about the glory that is Cindy Cap nearly enough. But so if you're making your own armor, you want keeping the tie-in. It's not cool sounding. People think rivets. People go to rivets, and rivets are great. I love me some rivets, but it's a lot simpler. It's a lot easier to apply. The other thing is by knowing those tie down points when you look at a suit of armor. As an author, that's a good bit of authenticity you can add when you're talking about it. And it gives you a tactical option from the I'm writing a fight where I can't get at the person, but maybe I can cut the rope, the strings that hold their armor on in a tussle, so that even when I break, I separate, that will make an opening later. This gives you a gambit. This gives you the problem with a person in armor versus a person who is not in armor is it's basically like fighting a tank. It is much harder to debilitate a person. They are not nearly as slow as you think. Their proper armor is fitted. They are fast. They are effective, and they are deadly. These are medieval shock troopers. So, from a writer's perspective, especially to keep a fight from being I clank him, he clanks me, you know, and you go through that because steel isn't going to go through steel nearly as easy as they show it. What's the point of armor if my sword cuts through it? Don't bring up that katana crud. Whoever's thinking it, don't. Sheath it. We're not going there. It is not magic. But, 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 understanding better where the ties in armor will let you write people who think tactically about the situation. Um, Modern tankers, the people who drive tanks and fight other tanks, know to aim for the treads and try to aim for the gap between the turret and the main chassis. Those are usually the weakest spots. That mentality of logic is not new. Anyone who thinks that period fighters. Uh huh. Uh huh. Ah. What? Oh, excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. But isn't that dependent on the underarm chainmail from behind the armor? Um, Most armor, I'm going to do a high tech. Do I have a fat marker? Because my hand. Pardon me, Jody, you don't know I went to the doctor and I'm pretty much hand-wise hosed. So I have to do some. That pen is broken. Okay, we'll do this in pencil and I'll hope it shows up. Because I could do it on screen technically, but I don't think that would help. So we're going to go and we'll start with a really neat piece of armor, a pauldron, right? And this has tie, and the tie on the pauldron goes through a couple layers. I'm going to try to make this visually seeable. So it'll take a second. And I'm drawing in heavy braces. It's not exactly cake and ice cream. Okay. Alrighty, so what you have is something like this, okay? Can you get that there? Cool. You have the base leather stopper, you have padded quilted fabric, you have chainmail, and then you have where the metal would overlap. So where it pieces in. Cutting through metal is very hard. It is possible, obviously, to ding it, which is why a lot of knights who were fighting other knights were very fond of war hammers and bill hooks, things that would hit, sort of bunker busters. But but the armor is rounded, so that's going to slide a whole lot of force off of it. That's why you don't see a lot of flat spaces. And if you see the helmets with the flat tops, um, those stink because you're gonna get hammered right on the top and the force is going straight down. They suck to fight in. Oh, Foxy, you're fine. You're fine. We're in an armor discussion. We had some other kind of grumpy, not grumpy. I just had to express some things that were going on, and we're going to that now. Chainmail, especially riveted, because butted chainmail is just like my fingers. There's nothing holding it together. Boink. Riveted or welded chainmail. Riveted has two little rings and a bar that holds it together. It's much stronger. Um, is really good at stopping a cut, a slash. But if you can pierce into the link, you have a good chance of breaking that apart. That's why the daggers of that period, let me see. Ah, this is exaggerated. Rondel daggers, and this is exaggerated, but it's easy to see, were narrow, were pointed. Uh, let me see. This is the fun. This is what's taking me to get a dagger grip. But and they had a very strong distal taper, so it would actually split things out. So it would break the ring and take it out and get to the gushy bit. It also penetrated fabric. Fat batted fabric, compressed. So what they would do is they would sew channels, little narrow channels in the fabric, and then take rods and drive rag style shredded fabric into these channels, making it tight and packed. And that actually absorbs a lot of impact. It's slash resistant all by itself. Poor conscripts were known to go into battle with maybe padded armor and whatever they could acquire otherwise. So it in itself can tangle weapons and limit damage. So you have the chainmail, you have that, they act as impact absorption. I talk about this in my book, come to think of it. It's been a while since I brought this guy up, but and yes, Cindy Cat makes a beautiful point I'm going to jump to in just a second. When we're talking about armor, and I just hint on the basics of it, you have when you have what's called hard over soft, and this is more geared for sparring like we do now than that. You can look at how armor, how impact is distributed. Okay, so you a flat hard surface just spreads it out. An impactful elasticized, a springy QQ, a dumpling, absorbs the force. So combining the two gives you a stronger set. And when you add chainmail, it not only it rattles the force loose. The force gets distributed and shaken through instead of just compressing. It compresses and ripples out. It's really neat. Chainmail chainmail can function much almost like a liquid, a gel for distributing force outward. And of course, some goes down, but when you stack types of armor together, you get a composite, and the composite is stronger uh, in connection than any of the three would be by themselves. And Syndicate makes a wonderful thing about tight weave silk could actually resist puncture. Absolutely. Silk armor is very much a thing, especially when you start looking at certain Eastern armors where they would wear tight weave silk and lacquered paper because metal was very rare, or wood pulp that's been lacquered and made into plates. This is what so layered fabric. This is really a primitive, and not even that primitive, approach like carbon fiber. It is uh it is a suspended like fiberglass. This is suspended fiber in a adhesive medium. It's really fascinating what this stuff does. So that's good. Foxy and Thesis get real cute in the middle, but let's see. Miss Chainmail, when you try and make armor out of oatmeal, I have overcooked some oatmeal cookies, and we've made some. There are legends of my wife making gingerbread cookies and them getting left in a car and reforming. Like basically, they tempered in the car to basically being nearly indestructible plates. So you're not too wrong. I always thought the key was layering. Before you get to the body, the layers you wore to get to the outer shell plays a factor. Absolutely, but you have to understand that each layer does something different. So the metal is one of the big benefits to a piece of metal with a curve on it is lack of friction. It is smooth and it's curved. It is going to deflect a large amount of any given blow, right? The next layer is chain. Chain's going to protect against slashes. It's flexible, so where you can't put steel, you put chain and you have the mobility and you have the airflow. Heat is still the enemy. Beneath that is the padding, which is going to add extra. It's going to wick your heat away. That's why we wear Under Armour under our gear. And with the right fabrics, it can be impact resistant and cut resistance. Modern fencing jackets operate along that line. So what you want is you need to be able to do a bunch of different things at once. So I hope that answers that's why you don't just wear leather armor usually. Leather armor is great, but it's going to pinch. Loricas are going to pinch at the articulation points. Uh, it will absorb some impact, but wax hardened leather actually is it's great against blunt impact. So wax water hardened isn't as great as against blunt impact, but it's a little harder to cut. Both of them are okay about abrasion, but it's actually easier to cut a stiff piece of leather than it is a soft piece of leather with a sharp implement a lot of the time because well think of cutting steak. You talk to chefs, and if you're going to cut meat up for a process, if you get it cold, not frozen but cold, it holds together and it's easier to slice. It's the same thing because leather is basically tanned meat. So it really does. You need armor that's going to protect you against a variety of types of attacks, and by stacking it, it gives you the best overall protection in that order. A chainmail over plate would rarely. There are exceptions, like in the Aventail, where it's protecting the tie down points, and it's kind of bungs up to keep you from getting that knife cut, rising stab to the neck. Uh, the shape of rounded curved metal is going to be a deflection agent. Uh, so that's really part of it. And like I said, chainmail does what it does so well, people still wear it. I mean, it's enough to stop shark bites. That's impressive. And then again, padding. I I have been a swordsman for a very long time, and most of that I've spent wearing a form of padded armor to stop broken blades. It was in place in case a blade broke. That being roughly 4 layers of trigger. So yeah, it's fascinating stuff. Let's see. Sinkep says that thesis. Some of the oatcakes and weird flour biscuits I've made, hockey pucks are softer. I've seen strange things happen that way. Thesis says we are pretty sickeningly adorable, aren't we, love? Had a hard time together believing we've been together 20 years because we're just so dang cute. For Fireball and our gosh darn beach day. Anyway, Sidney Kep says 'twas fascinating to find out that medieval armor had 3 helmets headaches. The leather one and 2 metal ones. Depending on the era, you may have a arming cap, a fabric arming cap, a leather, different kinds of plate depending on what is stacked where and what era it is. People seem to have this idea that armor is a one and done kind of scenario. And I think we get that from the misunderstanding of how bulletproof vests work. But different armors do things differently. And whereas the plate in a modern plate carrier may shrug off a rifle round, I still want some padding behind that because the plate won't break and it'll keep the bullet from going inside me, but you're still taking a heck of a hit. Oh, did I get a Okay, no, just for a second it glitched like I was getting a comment dump. But yes, and yes, yes, you guys are. So, yeah, we're now, okay, this is where to think what if they had Kevlar back then? The advent of gun and cannon would not have been much effect on the battlefield. A Kevlar body armor before chainmail before plate. That depends. Part of the problem is the remember the ranking of Kevlar is hmm, it's limited against some strange things. It's not as good against sharp. Like a Kevlar vest will stop a bullet, but it won't stop a knife very well. As many officers found, they had to have stab proof to have that plate. The other thing is the cannons are the kind of guns were used at shorter range, monstrous amounts of velocity, monstrous amounts of excess gunpowder because it wasn't tweaked like it is now. So short range, high impact. It is an interesting thing to ponder. And for an alt universe, I would love to see some ballistic tests. That for the right channel with the right resources, that could be interesting. You might actually point that at somebody like Demolition Ranch. They're crazy enough to do. Matt over there is crazy enough to do something like that. If you're into the whole firearms thing, that's again not the bend of this channel, but good point, and I like that. Do not forget to like. Thank you. Please don't forget to like and share. I'm trying to fight the algorithm, and it's been hard. Let's see. I've been doing some research on Eastern versus Western armor styles. It's fascinating the different styles of materials that have been used isn't it? I love like the concept of lacquered armor. I find that fascinating. The things the Japanese did with literally lacquered stacks of paper. It's fascinating. Uh, the other neat thing I think is the evolution of weapons to match the arms to match the armor that they oppose. I think that's why you see a lot more curved swords and curved weapons in countries where less armor, less plate style armor was used. A curved sword is much more effective against cloth. Very, very fast. Cutting people up with slices is a very fast way in a scrum, in the tangle of melee combat to act. So I find that really great. Maybe one of these days we'll set up and just because I'm going through StreamYard now, so hence the little duck that's on one of the corners for you guys. And that means I can have guests and we can have live discussions. So one of these weeks, get a hold of me. We'll just pop in and talk shop, you know? And I would love to hear your take on things. There are some people I definitely want to get on. Oh, Foxy says, slay the algorithms. Looks like a D&D dim. Lamlar armor is more aesthetically pleasing to the eyes, but I realize it doesn't have as much protection. And yet, it's something we come back to because it allows agility. So as materials improve and the connections improve, because uh, one thing, as I was talking about very early on in this video, when I was mentioning the tie downs that hold uh, plates on, making a plate that is hard to break is something we're very good at as humans. We are very good at making very sturdy things. However, connecting them so that they can move with limited weakness, that's where the real armor bind is. Being able to get the armor to move around a rounded, oddly shaped, because from a geometric standpoint, aren't we all oddly shaped? Uh, I really think as we improve that, that's why when paracord became so prevalent, using barrel plastic armor got a lot easier because the previous nylon or cotton ropes would wear out relatively fast. And yes, I know I'm using reenactor discussion, but it's the same. What grinds grinds. So being able to produce something like that is doable. He said, thesis continues. I would love to get a hold of a set of Chinese or Japanese Lamlar armor. Even just it is beautiful stuff. And that is one thing we have to separate. I make fun of Kit Ray as a practical, um, educated martial artist. It's kind of it feels pompous for me to say it, but I think I'm at the point where I'm comfortable saying I'm a relatively educated, fairly practical martial artist. Um, I don't like. But from an aesthetic, if you are simply looking at it for the aesthetic, especially as a wall hanger, they can be pretty. Now, that doesn't necessarily apply to the Chinese or Japanese armor in that it's not necessarily effective for what it was designed, because it is for what it was designed. But never, oh, oh, hesitate for the seeking of that. And I'm sure we could find an armorer somewhere who makes recreations. And the trick is, if you're planning to wear it, it has to be very sturdy. If you're planning to display it, that's a different ballpark. That sounds about right. $400 sounds about right. Body armor is very expensive. Quality armor is really, really expensive, but it's slowly coming down, especially modern takes of armor. Now, I can show you stuff I don't like that is relatively cheap and yet may be educational to see an approach to Yar building. I may show you some armors that are out there if that's something you guys want to do, I can easily peruse those guys when we get past the whole what swords we're talking about line. But we are almost at the top of the hour, give take. So I want to take just a second to thank a whole bunch of these wonderful people are my Patreon supporters, and they are how I am able to keep doing what I do. Now, give me just a second. I'm having a bit of computer difficulty. There we go. So I want to put a big shout out to Steve Augusto, Syndicap, www.ckoepp.com, Brian K. Morris of RisingTide.pub, Steph Marie, Bladed Thesis, because he knows I stutter through his name, and Foxy, Ronald Rain, an called hero, Steve Clausen, I hope your world's going well, the incomparable Frog G, and our boy Silver Ogre. All these wonderful people donate a little every month so that I can afford to keep things going and I can get the gear that I need. So yeah, we will. I can't do it without you guys. And if you want to look into this, look into this. This is the simple sword. I briefly go into some armoring. I talk about gorget making actually into armor with a part by part description. I will be doing a video right here when my hands work on how to do that. I will be making a gorget, and who knows, I may just send it off to somebody. One of my Patreon members may just get a box in the mail. I'm not sure yet. But body armor to do what we do can be pricey. Let's go here. Sorry about that. Jody McPhee says, this is where I want to compare stuff like Iron Man armor versus Japanese or medieval armor. Modern armor doesn't seem as good as the older stuff. Modern armor is geared almost exclusively to ballistics. And it is designed, most armor, to cover the most likely fatal areas, being your chest, some neck coverage. Obviously, a helmet is worn. There is face development, and then your limbs are may or may not be somewhat protected, but usually they're fairly exposed. That's why they tend to carry tourniquets. However, modern armor is developing at a rapid pace. So while fictional Iron Man armor, and who doesn't love Iron Man armor, or that old Lost in Space reboot movie, or Stargate with the flip out armor, who doesn't love that stuff? But powered armors come with their own sets of issues, vulnerability to EMP being chief among them. You don't, system failures, the more systems you have, the more likely they are to fail. So the simplest armor is going to be overall the most likely to last. Um, Period armors were defeated by firearms. The reason we know this is largely they were stopped, they were no longer used. And with them, the weapons that evolved to counter and deal with them also fell out of favor. So, we what interests me is better materials, better mechanical systems first. There are a lot of augmentations, exosuit things. The more they can do it with mechanical systems, gearing systems, springs, things that are less likely to fail than computerized systems, the more likely I am to be interested in it. It is something I follow because of my disability and the fact that I orbit people with disability because the same technology, and that's always been my beef with our boy Tony Stark. I have a rant. I have a rant, and I am going off on it. It is off topic ish, but Tony Bleeding Stark and all those cronies at S.H.I.E.L.D. You see all that tech running around, people in body armor, right? And superpower armor. and all that good stuff. Why are there people in wheelchairs? If you're running a fantasy world where you can have people move around in jet armor, you don't have to make it super powerful, but for criminy sakes, why aren't prosthetics all perfect? No one should have a cruddy prosthetic in that grade universe, and it drives me bonkers because we have the kind of technology right now where no one should have a crummy prosthetic. If we would focus on developing technology from the mentality of helping people and fund it to do so, the world would be a better place. Hopping off my rant, I don't know if rants are popular or not. I know Brian put up a BK minute about it, but I also know people like my rants when they're appropriate, so I'm going to keep going. Uh, Foxy says, and no matter, we're here no matter if you can move your fingers or not. Thank you. Thank you. Because it is very, very scary for me to feel like that a bunch of people are just going to, because I've had it happen. Give me the, oh, you're just the man behind the curtain, Wizard of Oz. And yes, that's a curtain joke. Uh, and totally disavow what I know because I can't do it now. That's also a natural habit of aging. And that I find that scary, not because I want the ego, because I really don't care about the ego. If I can help people, I hate that I have to fight to help them. You know what I'm saying? And that's always been my problem. And well, yeah, money. Money just solves a whole bunch. Money is a superpower. Sydney kept says Windows update in the middle. How funny would it be to see a bunch of armored dude systems short out because Windows just crashed? Blue screen of doom. And that's a very real thing. That's why I'm just not that scared of the mechanical version of the AI apocalypse. I think we'll have stuff through the internet. I think the bots are just going to get better enough to be indecipherable and it'll get real weird. But there comes a point where entropy gets a hold of computer hardware and software way too easy. It just breaks down. So, it's one of those I watch, but I'm not. Foxy says exactly. The good one in critical updates in the middle where it's a killing blow. Windows update failed. CCAP says not going anywhere. Thank you. Um, so we we're and that's a real ransomware. Ransomware is a real thing, and I think that's why I'm dubious about electronics and firearms coming together. Uh, I don't like that. Um, the idea. This is why, even though the tech exists, I'm not a Wi-Fi control my thing. I don't have one of the Alexa boxes. I don't have any of that stuff going. Just because, in part, the practicality of it is I've worked around enough computers long enough that if I have my druthers, aside from an automatic transmission and air conditioning, I prefer manual just about everything else on my car. Windshield wipers. Manual windshield wipers suck. So automatic air conditioning, have a radio, and, an automatic transmission. The rest of it can go because it's just extra stuff. I don't like electric locks. Don't like electric windows. They always goof up. Certainly don't like car alarms. I feel the same way about stuff. So the better reliable systems we can make, sturdier fabrics, better plates, the better armoring will be. And as reenactors and people who study the martial arts, we should never hesitate to get the best we can with what we have. Some people scoff at plastics. They don't look as cool. And you are right. They don't look as cool. Sometimes they look cooler. you know, but all joking aside, we shouldn't we shouldn't hesitate to that. Now, I promised you guys something, so I'm going to let me see. Uh Shrink this. I'm going to go here. And I'm going to open up a little. Actually, that was period. Padded armor that's been packed in hemp has been was period. They would use hemp ropes, run channels and stack ropes through fabric armor to make a sturdier armor. Some people made hard plate out of layered ropes that were slacked together. It's amazing what can be done. But we're going to talk about a little bit of modern armory, and I'm going to go to a side. I was asked last week, hold on, let me get rid of that. And that's funny, Foxy. Where I got my fencing swords. Now, back in the day, for steel fencing swords, Zen Warrior Armory was my home. I ordered from these guys back when they were still a branch of Triplet, when they were called Triplet, when they became a branch. And I want to show some fun swords that will just brighten your day. So let's see. Shop all. Wait, are you going to be grumpy? You're being grumpy. Oh, look, my armor's failed. Nope. And they have stuff. One thing I like is you can order blades and parts and piecemeal your own gear. I've always been a fan of that. But let's have some fun. I can't go by the names because back in my day it was all the R1, R2, R3. So I am going to set up this and we're going to go price low to high just to make life easy on you guys. So why am I here? I want to show you what rapiers and fencing blades can look like as opposed to what we saw through Kit Ray. Now, this is a very light, very early period minimalist weapon. And you can use like this kind of guard has been featured on things like a COTS blogger. I love hold on 1 second. I love what's going on. Let me do this right. Update video card failed. Now you don't see everything else works. You're just shooting blind. Basically, there's like the weirdest Halo alternate universe RPG being played in my comments section. Folks, I'm here for that. Absolutely. I still remember the episode of Mythbusters where they tested the viability of Chinese Lamlar armor made of paper. They tested it against blunt force swords and arrows and found it plausible. Absolutely. It was plausible. It did work. And you can, if I've seen videos on how to do it at home, make very similar armor. So I'm fascinated by that, and we may do an armor. Would you like next week to be a little bit of armor discussion? Yeah, because oh wait, let me look. Is next week Thanksgiving? Let's see. Oh, next week is after Thanksgiving, so we're fine. That's Black Friday. I will definitely want to talk armor next week. Let's talk armor. Oh wait, that's not next week. Did I? Yeah, I totally dipped the 19th. Okay, the 19th. Next week, we will talk armor here, and I will show you different armor retailers. We'll talk about pricing and things. I thank you. I'm sure there's going to be a bit of delay in people correcting me. So while Thanksgiving is in 2 weeks, I've had a lot go on, and I know it's in 2 weeks because I have 2 episodes left in Dusk Falls over Ravencliff Gorge, the first campaign done on Dice Dudes and Dice Dames and Dudes. But hey, that's what we're about. I literally am here to help martial artists who want to learn this and writers be better because I'm tired of seeing cruddy fight scenes that don't make sense. So having you guys all work together to do that is great. Now, this is a minimalist weapon. They do work, especially with a lighter blade or a dagger blade, but that's not what I'm here for. You guys have seen this. My 30 is basically whoops, is it going to, no, I'm not going to add it to my cart. My 30 is basically this rig with a worn out grip. Um, the Saber style, uh, now they're calling it Dread Pirate. This is just a simple quality rig, great hand protection if you don't want a keyhole grip. Uh, but as you can see, wide bell, let's bring that back. Why do I like this? Let's bring that back. Nice wide bell, easy access. When we look at some of the later designs, you're going to see weapons that are more tricky to get your hand into to draw. And while they're pretty or elegant, you have to keep that in mind. This is a tank, that heavy, this is the extra heavy pommel, and I'll put that there. Okay, but that extra heavy pommel is going to keep the point of balance to your hand, keep the tip light. These handle really nice. Now, that makes me happy. My slow internet doesn't, and the fact I double tapped. Sorry, guys. We'll fix this in just a second because I double tapped too hard. Sort by price, low to high. Because when we're looking at things, it's not how you guys shop. I shop price low to high. Let me go down through. This is a great, if you like a main gouge style flat rig. That is very nice. It does require square tang though, so it's not as sturdy as some rigs. Let me double check. Now this is a sneaky sword, and I don't know if the angle reveals it. There we go. This is a dreamboat for me. This is one of my favorite swords that triplet. Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to put that up there. Rapier fighters, do you prefer swept or cup hilt? Longsword fighters, do you want your guard swept towards the blade or towards the hand? Those are fascinating. And while I'm not really going to weigh into my longsword preferences much, other than when I'm fighting longsword, I usually like a fairly simple guard. I don't like a lot of things in the way. Cup hilt for days. I'm going to show you some. Sure. Which you like? Sure. That's right. I like them all. Not a gap, not a fan between the gap and the palm. Absolutely. That can be a real problem. That can tangle on things. Let me get rid of that. You guys can see my little cursor. Cool. This can tangle on things. I like a connected ring here. I also happen to know that this style hilt can be a little flimsy. You want to upgrade for the metal one, the aluminum, and then wrap grip tape so it's not too smooth. But this gives really great front hand because you use a keyhole grip. So this guy. Where did that weapon go? I have so many weapons. Here we are. Ha! Okay, can't grab that way. Here. I'll do. No, that guy's No, that guy's not going to help at all. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I needed a weapon of the right grab that I could access. Now, this, of course, is my favorite rigging. Although this is all one piece, and if this had a ball pommel here and connected right there, I'd be in seventh heaven. It would be super light. But your finger, can you see? Oh, yeah, you can see real well. This, part of the fact that I can't complete my grip because of the bracing, this allows maximum control. And it's retentive, and your hand, in this case, I can get two, theoretically. Brace does not like. But that is a tremendous amount of protection. The way this sword handles, it is a very light, very fast weapon. And with that big open, it's easy to get into. So let me just close this. Let me come here. Go back. Here we are, and they are still stacked. Now, I don't understand this knob, and I see it here and here, the Cobra. It's even the Canelano. I don't like it. I don't see the point. It's gonna tangle when worn. Not my cup of tea. I'm sure it's designed for a specific style, but it's just not what I'm about. So give it a second. I want to get now. This is much nicer in that I love the rings, but the bell is too small. That's going to give you one or two hands, but if that had a proper bell, it would work great. They've been experimenting. This used to be the R3. It used to be about just a little more than half this price. Now they add more for the heavier pommel. This used to be the starter sword. It's the dish is distinctive. It's got straight, really good for smaller hands, utterly useless for large hands because it'll bite the top of your hand if you're not careful. But I have seen so many of those. My old sword master, Aidan McDougall, used one of those. Now, if you want to go truly excessive, you have something like this. This is the Spanish for a large hand. Possible. It could be similar to the um Nagel on Messers. Um, like I said, I've seen it, and I want to say Tallhofer, maybe. I honestly can't remember which of the manuals I've seen it displayed in. It just was not one of my go to. Serious. Yeah, this is nice. I can get almost 3 fingers up into that with the reinforced ricasso. Nice bell pad. Now you see this fabric here? Let me see. Can I? Yes, I can. Oh, that's sexy. Go. Hold on. Control yourselves. But that that pad makes the impact so nice. But danged if Cindy didn't catch my point before I went to it. That open hook, you will catch your own gear. You will catch. That is the bane of my existence. That's why, though, John Miner, I believe, has one of these. I have handled it. I don't like that. Now, let's talk swept tilts for a minute, if it lets me. Come on, computer. Computer. There we go. This is aesthetically beautiful. I'll be the first to admit this is gorgeous. They handle nice, but I don't like all that open space for my hands. I don't like the swept tilt, this style swept tilt, because you still have a straight on penetration to your own hand. And I've seen too many blades. Let me see. Let me just do that. Thank you. Get tangled in this cross section because there is a gap between this bar, that's all flat, and where this over sweep hilts, you can get a shot in from about 45, which if you're holding your sword tip up from a low guard, your blades, that really makes an opening, and even if they don't hit you, it's gonna catch. Dang, Cindy! While I'm explaining things, she's right on it every time. It can catch and possibly break the blades. And see, Cindy's right there. She's right on the page. Clapping is my bane. I have to stop doing that. But understanding that will make you go, that is a beautiful, beautiful rig, but it's going to tangle. That being said, there are options. Now, if you are going to go open ish, may I present the clamshell? There's nothing wrong with the swept hilt, especially if it's a live steel that you love. I just will always favor cup hilts. And she says, nice for a quarter display blade. Exactly. Now, the thing about this one is they don't give you the angle you need, but it actually gives very decent protection for your hand, and it's fairly hard to tangle. You can tangle into it, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing because you can use it for a bind, but it does protect more. So I have a history with that particular rigging of enjoying fighting with them. Now we start getting into things that, oh heaven, we have the square guard over a bell. This is where they've hybridized. This is the, oh, if you want keyhole grip, but you don't want exposed, this is a thing. I would definitely throw a felt pad in there, but look at the rounding. This is a very stout, very aggressive. This is a saber hilt. It's on a Schlager blade. Look at that, the Menser. This is a heavy hitting, heavy working saber style weapon, and I do love it for that. I just prefer my things to be a little lighter. And this is a variant with this. Now, we got a couple down here that we're going to ignore, but this is close, folks. Now, I would love to see, and I haven't been able to, but I suspect if it opens up, come on, here we go. This rigging with a large pommel would close that up. And I really suspect that this might be just an absolute dreamboat. It's a lot of weight, so the overall weight is a bit heavier, but it's so much gathered into your hand that the tip is going to do that. And that's what I was thinking, Cindy. Exactly. Close that loop. Put it, but there are a couple larger pommels. And frankly, being me, I would put a larger pommel, and if it didn't fit, I would cut off and deburr so that it would set straight in, so that would be closed. But that I want to get my little meat hooks on one of those, maybe someday. Okay, we got a couple more to show you, and I guess I don't know what happened with the organize. This, I don't like this. I wanted to go through and show you, and like, I love these weapons. Now this, oh, I don't like this. This fundamentally bothers me. It gives decent bell protection, but then it has all that. This looks beautiful, but remember that, hold on. You see that fuzz? That's not bell, that's pad. I saw this come across and I just there's someone who this is made for, but not me. Absolutely not me, folks. And this really looks like it was made, and I really think this was made out of leftover parts. But if this had a proper bell, it wouldn't be bad. I just don't, that bell gap is going to cause you trouble because anytime you parry, it's going to, when you parry, especially with a curve like this, the leverage pulls it in towards this crease point. Hold on. Maybe make myself big so you can see what I'm talking about. And hold on, I'm going to go boop. Yes, that was insane, but it's going to pull in. So something like this. Oh, I can't click that there. I have to click that there. Oops. Hello. Computer. There we go. I had to smack it with my finger. Something like this is going to be pulling things down and run the risk if you ever put parry up too close, which very often I would catch, actually bring my blade offline to give a superior deflection, I've gone from offensive to defensive with this to free up my dagger while I close in or another weapon. That's going to slide in and just nail your hand. So I don't like that. There's nothing wrong. Now, see, that's funny that you say that. A Scottish basket hilt is not is not necessarily that elaborate or insane. Let me come. Let's see. Do they still have heavy weapon guards? Yes, they do. All heavy weapon guards. Now, a basket hilt is going to look something more like this. These are built for SCA use, so they're designed to be slid around a let's see if it's inside a chunk of rattan. And getting back to that, see, I totally agree with you, Cindy. I totally agree with you that the gap between the bell and quillions is not a fabulous thing. I'm very particular. That's why I love my sword. But this is a basic basket hilt, and they're not that insane. Some of them look that because it's flatter material that's been cut away, but they're good hand protection, especially if you're wearing gauntlets for aggressive styles. Now, see, this fascinates me because apparently it's plastic. And if you're running rattan, which is bamboo-y like stuff that's solid, that the heavy fighters have a love of, um, a good handguard could do you wonders. I don't know if I would trust a plastic one though. I need to talk to my wife, talk to John Miner if he were there. I'm not seeing anything talked about it, so that's interesting. But that would be great for using uh like single stick training. And this is just a reinforced first cut. So that's fascinating. I like that. I like this site. There are others. Hanwei makes some really great fencing blades. Let me just get rid of this for a while so I can focus on what's going on here. We can go back to that maybe. We'll see what time. We got half hour. All righty. We've got some commentary that needs to be. Let's see. Thesis says, speaking of quillions, I was taking my blades out to oil them and wasn't and my rapier fell in the quillion. Yeah, you got to remember quillions, and these are very mild, but they fit. These are still blunt to sharpish metal. I've had to refuse to fight people because they had a sharp point on their quillions, and I won't do it. This is still going to damage you. A guard punch, the quillion punching out with the quillion, you could do a lot of harm, and that could work very devastatingly in brawling style fencing. I used to I at one point I wanted to make a fencing sword with flexi dagger quillions so I could do that safely. I've matured past that. Cindy Kep says, I think impact would shatter the plastic eventually. I tend to agree with you. It was pretty scary at the time, adds up. Oh, with me having a black eye. I believe it. So, yeah, like she says, yikes, be careful out there, folks. Folks, we don't want you to be hurt. That's why I always say when you're talking about learning martial arts and you're looking at gear, is it safe? Is, oops, excuse me, the first thing you ask. Because if it's not safe, don't do it. Because no matter how fun it might be, it will stop being fun when somebody gets hurt or dead. Sorry, back on the hydration kick. But so it's really important, guys, that we be sure to diaphragm spasm. Absolutely. Yup. be safe. Now, you know what? If you guys want, I can look up armorers real quick. Give me a second and let me think. Let's see if I can find boom. Who do I know is really good? Or is this, let me see if this is, I'm not going to start with really good. I am going to start with something I want every would-be armorer to see. We're going to talk about the bottom pricing and what you can or can't do. So I'm going to open up a site, okay? And we can go here. This is Dark Victory Armory. I am not saying buy from Dark Victory Armory. I want to show you something. Complete set of black flash armor, $295. Now, this thing is for the price. That's not terrible for the amount of effort it would take. That being said, if we look at this, let's see if we. You know what? I'll just bring this picture. It's as big as it can get. Whoop. Let me look. Whoop. Fine, we'll go this way. Here we go. It's a bigger picture. All I want is this bigger picture here to fit on your screen. There we go. Take a look at this armor. This is made out of barrel plastic. Now, barrel plastic is notoriously sturdy. It's HDPE, which is the same kind of plastic, and you can do this out of sheets. The reason I say it's barrel plastic is the mold lines. So let me see if I can get my thing. Across here is a mold line. That was already in the material when he cut it. You'll see a similar mold line here. That means that all of these are made out of barrel plastic that's been cut into shapes and then secured with what looks like paracord. And in this whole mess, I see one piece that requires a rivet because of the way they did the elbows to get those pointed elbows. This can all be done with a hacksaw, a drill, and I would probably like a heat gun or at least some sandpaper and a whole lot of 440 paracord. You can find patterns for free on, let me see, armor. Oops. Oops, let's see, armor archive patterns. Armorarchive.com. This is one of the best things you can find for the SCA for the armorer. This is where you can get they are dated. Oh no, the armor, a lot of these patterns come from the 2000s. However, looking through these patterns, jokes, you can then get the pattern and make it yourself or use it as a base. So if we hit here, it gives the instructions for how to cut out and make a basic arming cap to go under your helm. Use these resources. I don't own any of this. To the best of my knowledge, this is free for these patterns are free with the understanding that credit should be given to their owners. So I feel comfortable showing that the owners, who usually SCA names, are aligned here. This is a great resource. This is also a great resource for artists who want to understand armor. I'm sorry, we got some comments I missed. if you go to Chinese Clothing Online and check the stage, I will look through that off camera because I know that this is not for profit. So I don't think I'll get in any trouble like showing it. I do like to check ahead, so I will look in that. But yeah, there are resources here. Remember, despite my occasional argument with the SCA at different points, when it's done right, is an educational resource, is an educational organization. And feel free to find those resources for whatever club you're in. Just because you might be a LARPy, or you might be HEMA, or you might be some other organization, maybe you're a theater guy and you want to make armor forever for your actors. There's nothing saying that if you don't want to take the time, you can't get something that's better and safer than just stopping by Spirit Halloween and buying whatever junk you have and repurposing it. It's better to understand these kind of resources, and they are out there. And that's part of what I'm about doing, is helping you guys find resources. Now, I can keep looking at things because you guys seem to really dig the reaction video stuff, so I don't mind looking at some of the retailers. Let me see what we got here. Oops. I'm going to where you sent me, but I just wanted to double check because, like I said, I don't want to get in any trouble. Not that I think you'd send me in trouble. I just want to make sure I'm not. And you are looking for costumes, armors. Okay, I see what you're talking about. This is beautiful. Let's see, military. This is beautiful aesthetically. My problem with this is a lot of this is beautifully full aesthetically, but you like I'm seeing a lot of brigadine, and that's not that hard to make. You can actually get galvanized steel that will let you make a brigadine style for anywhere you see the little plates. I see some unlaced lamellar. Looks like they used lamellar plates for scale mail. I see some lamellar plates. There are companies that sell actual lamellar plate that you string yourself. And if you are interested in this kind of armor, um, I will dig around and try to find my old lamellar resources because I'm just going through and I'm seeing these are not like these are very expensive for what they are, and I think with a little bit of work and help, we can help you if you're looking for something like that. With a little bit of tweaking, we can find somebody who can help you. And it's one of those we look around. I'll see. I will shoot the proverbial flare up and see who I can find on that front. Because how handy are you, Thesis? Like basic tools? Are you comfortable with basic tools? Possibly not work. Because actually, you know what I'm going to do? I should not have closed that. Or did I close it? Or did I just shrink it? I just shrunk it, thank God. Okay, give me a second. We're going to go. Plates. Oh. Modern tactical lamellar. Aha, ha, ha. Now, if you want lamellar, I'm going to veer you away, if you don't mind, from the standard and put you to a place more like this. Plastic lamellar, where you can just order different plates, and then you look up, you get this paracord lacing. You can use paracord and get lacing patterns and simply make your own. And then um, yeah, you can either take HDPE or another sturdy plastic material or leather and punch and make your own plates and then lace it together, or you simply get uh, the different plates. And how many is that? I'm curious. I want to see. Hammered finish 22. Plates are sold in bulk packs of 50. So what you do is you look up how much find the patterns online for how much you want lamlar and buy it, lace it together, and you'll have your own. Lamlar functions like a mix between chainmail and plate in impact dispersion, because if it's laced right, the flexing distributes the blow, but gives you much more mobility. If you are intending to use more elaborate martial arts while in armor, that's not a bad idea. These plastics are fairly inexpensive. Uh, it's lightweight, and you don't need a lot of machining to do it. So you just need a whole lot of paracord and to look up the lacing. What I saw in the Chinese, whoops, let me just close that back up here because nobody needs to see that. And I will go here. Oh no, you'd see that I have a hot link for my Twitter and DA. But yeah, there's nothing bothersome there. Let me see. History recently closed. It's not showing that. That's fine. Here we go. I'm going to go right back to that because what it looked like to me was, and I'm going to go all the way back to where I was looking that you sent me. Uh-huh. And yes, a lot of that is it's either directly applied where they stitch it to a backing, um, and then they do something else in larger plate, or they make panels where they have lamlar that's layered out, and then the lamlar is attached to a panel. Some of this scale mail. Now I don't know Chinese armoring very well, but I'm seeing a bit of what feels like costumitis here. So I'd really have to double check the the sources. But I'm thinking looking into the different lamlar plates and then making your own, or simply buying the plates pre-made and stitching them to that looks like they could make a plate, a wispy plate where you just attach the plates to a chunk of fabric through lots of rivets. So I think there are ways to do it. Given that most of these are $500, like we should be able to find a fabric pattern and then either rivet it to leather, which would work really well and give you a distinct look, or and then you could use steel plates. They're easy to get. The Dawn Guard armor. I've seen it, but I think I know what you're talking about. I'm gonna double check off screen here. Guard armor. Images, please. Yeah, that is actually Brigadine. Is it Brigadine? I think it looks like Brigadine. Yep. So I'm going to bring up our good buddy Google to show you something. Our boy Shad is wearing layered brigadine. Riveted leather and brigadine is simply leather plates that have been bolted, that have been riveted to metal plates that have been riveted to that. It's not complicated. It can be highly effective. It's a great way of I don't want to use anybody's stuff without being able to claim it right. So I'm going to back out of there because I don't want to get in trouble. And I'm sure you all understand that. But brigadine is not complicated. You basically can make a poncho shape. So like a cross with, let me see. Give it a second. Hopefully. Here we go. We're going to shrink this. We're going into the world's most complex art program here for a second because I really need. Oh, you may hear my scanner trying to. Window. Boom. We'll go here. Cool. We are in Paint. Do I have any of my styluses? Well, I may be fingerprint. Now, I'll use the mouse. That's fine. I've done this before. Get this nice big fat wide so you can see what's going on. Pardon my... You know what? This is stupid. Give me a second. I'm literally finger painting because I don't have a stylus I can grab. But if you set up a tabard with a neck hole and you plate rows of little metal plates, you guys will forgive my horrible, I'm ashamed of how my hands are working right now today, but yay, physical therapy. And just plate them down, then when worn, you're going to get something that looks like this. That gives, put your arms here, put your feet here. Okay, cool. I know I'm not going to get on Drawfee, and you can belt that. You can add flaps for the overlap. And that's going to give you a very simple tabard style armor. And like I said, I'm sorry about the art quality right now. My hands are crud and I'm drawing with like my my middle finger because I can't bend my fingers right. But you can belt that and that's going to help gather it all together. You can add ties here that loop through. That will work. It's a very simple way. If you have leather or a heavy canvas tarp, even stitch plastic plates to a canvas tarp. It flips, it folds, and you've got shoulder protection. With a little bit of tailoring, you bevel that in a bit. You can have it wrap and give you even decent forearm protection. It doesn't need to be elaborate, but y'all, I feel like, let's see, image select. That was shameful. We'll just delete that. But maybe delete. Yeah, there we are. So we don't have to actually and I can give you a better version a little later. Like I said, I'm just having a bit of a rough time today. But oops, let's go brush this. What I wanted you to see was armor doesn't need to be complicated. If you think about it, will it be the best armor? No. But your upper body doesn't need a lot of flexation on the up and down because you're from your rib cage you don't move. Thank you. And thank you. Please do. Please send me anything you have and I'll be happy to give you something a little more formal than all this. But that's what I get for leaving my oh, I found a stylus just now after I've made a complete jerk of myself. I shall have chocolate at the end of this broadcast. Anyway, I'm gonna have to make a different rig for that so that I can whiteboard it. But I do like that I can just use that system to whiteboard, which is really kind of nice. Say stop sharing because we don't need that. I hope that's educational. I need to talk more about armoring and I need to write it up for you. I'm still working on the arms and armor guide. I've been putting off because it hurt to type and now I know why. My nerve damage is firing off. Oh yeah, you see that? They mysteriously, yeah, can't always. I may remodel my little neck knife to be a carrier for like my stylus because the other side of the fact of my hands is sometimes touchscreens don't like to read my hands. But we're at about the 2 hour line. Let's see. Let's go over what we talked about. I got another blur. That's interesting. Anyway, um, we've got yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I'm not sure what kind of chocolate I'm gonna go for. I know what I have on stock left over from Halloween type, but I don't know. Might go for Take Five. I haven't had one of those in a little bit, and I'm kind of in the mood. But or I could break into the zero bars, which isn't technically chocolate, but it is a zero bar, and zero bars are divine. I'm the guy who likes candy that other people don't like, and I'm okay with that. It's more for me. Now, um, how can I stop doing that? I will keep you guys appraised on how my hands work. I will keep you guys appraised on the gaming through Red Valkyrie Presents. If that continues after the holidays and everything is golden, and that's what you guys want, and they work with it, cool. If not, I'll find something else game related to do because it may be a while where gaming may be what I can do. Uh, so that's okay. It's that time of year. Okay, first off, the sketches are rough. I'm not much of an artist. On a good day, I'm an artist. On a bad day, you see today. I'm sure I can understand, and if not, I'll ask you questions. Still got to be better than what Arya Stark handed the blacksmith. I still don't know how that one worked. Um, weird. I appreciate it. I've had a lot of people lack steadfastness, and I learned a long time ago if I'm not useful, I don't have much value in a lot of circles, and that's not uh necessarily a good or right thing to do, but it is something I've noticed, and I've made a habit of becoming. Oh, we have Russell Stovers. Oh, you appeal to my chunky guy status, but I do want to tell you guys I am still working on my writing projects. They're a bit slower. I am planning to take all the notes and have to be able to review the episodes for Dice Dames and Dudes to eventually put out my basic fan. I want to make it actually basic fantasy compatible because I support what they're doing. I just have to go find what hoops to jump through. Uh, as a playable campaign, I'm going to be releasing some more. Needle, God, I can't find the link. There is a fundraiser going on for Luke Stone. Please look that up. I don't have the link on hand, and frankly, I'm rapidly losing the ability to type worth anything functional. As apparently I'll be taking some pain meds as well in a moment. Well, anti-inflammatories. I don't actually take like what people consider the good stuff. I take Tylenol. But we please look into that if you can help them financially. If not, I do want to remind you last year I made a group, St. Nick's Creators Christmas Mall, and that is a place for people like you who are small businessmen, small creators. Uh, oh, thank you. I know that Cindy kept says the auction was moved. It's next week, I think. I think it is. If you can get in, if you can donate, um, I'm sure they understand. I'm not really craftable right now. Yes, I have used I have used speech to text, and I may again and then just con my beloved wife into she's also an art author, and she took copywriting courses fixing what happens when my myriad of speech impediments and stutters derails a given book. But I have a lot of projects that are in the works, and I want to get some things out probably between Thanksgiving and Christmas, assuming I have the capacity to do so. I want to thank the Patreon because, like I said, I've been kind of quiet on Patreon due to some of the other stuff going on, but I am completely the thing that's scrolling the bomb. That's what keeps me going, and the support that you commenters give me every week. That's what gets me from Friday to Friday. A lot of times, it's hard to do what I do and what I can talk about here, and what it's not necessarily appropriate to talk about. So I really appreciate it. Please get on that group and comment. This let me see. Let me see if I can find the link for that. Oh God, typing. No, I can't. Yep, typing isn't working. Okay, cool. Typing is not working. That was pain. Uh, I will share the link there. Share your contact information if you're putting your shingle out on the Facebook Historical Fencing Guild public group. If you want, I don't normally I ask you guys not to plug stuff off topic. That's why I was routing folks to the St. Nick's Christmas Mall because that's literally a group made so that small creators can shop from other small creators. Yes, I know. But I'll see. I put it because I have a move. I actually carefully packaged it and put it someplace safe. So I have to get that back out. Uh, Amiguri was fun. Cindy Cat made my amazing manatee, and my manatee lives in the living room. But yeah, Foxy says go have chocolate and paint stuff and get a hug from your wife and kid. Life will look better. And you know what? You're not wrong. So I think I'm almost to the 2 hour line. I do try to give you guys at least 2 hours of content. Uh, I will be. I'll be here next week. I'll be on Dice Dice Dames and Dudes on next Wednesday and the Wednesday after that. and then we break for the holidays, and then we see who's doing what when. I look for. I love those people. They're great fun, but these things happen, and the schedule of 4 hours on a Wednesday night can be trying. But I want to thank you guys. You've been amazing. Please keep your guard up. If you have the physicality to chase your dreams, don't hesitate, guys, because life has a way of throwing setbacks and speed bumps. So always enjoy what you're doing, but don't be afraid to take a moment and appreciate there's somebody who would kill to be able to do what you can do. Alrighty? So be good to each other, keep your guard up, and as always, support your local swordmaster.